Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I am a deep believer that most leaders and business owners today are trying to succeed from doing more, pushing harder, or just trying to fix themselves in some way. But what if the answer wasn't more strategy, but actually understanding your energy and just understanding yourself deeper? Today's conversation is with someone who has discovered that understanding herself was the key to creating more impact in her business, but also changing the relationship with herself. So I am so excited to have Natasha Golinsky here today, and I will hand it over to her and I'll let you introduce yourself.
Oh, thank you. Well, thank you, Erin, so much for having me. I love what you do. I love business. I love human design. I love how all of it goes together. And honestly, just this week, I've been like binge listening your podcast, and it's so on point. It's so on point. It's so good and soothes my soul for sure. I have been running my own business since I was 13 years old. I've always been an entrepreneur. I'm definitely that like type A alpha personality, and spent most of my career like working. Like I spent about 8 years working in a career where I was like boiler room cold calling for 6 years, and like all the alpha, all these hard pushing things. I was having major anxiety, lots of chronic health problems, tons of insomnia, like definitely thinking about like, not to be melodramatic, but like I started seeing a therapist because I was like, I'm gonna kill myself. Like I cannot. And I was working with this energy healer, and she introduced me to human design. And then this was probably, I don't know, like 5 years ago. And it's just helped me turn it all around. And now I'm definitely so much more aware of living in alignment. Obviously we all fall off track, but now I know so much more clearly like what my authority is, and like where all of my strengths, and like how I work best. And I spent decades in therapy for things that are just not part of my design, and now I realize, I'm like, wait a minute, I was never ever going to be good at that. I was never ever going to be able to like be comfortable in that situation or whatever. And it just, yeah, just totally changed how I run my business and how I go about being a CEO in my company.
Well, I have a lot of questions, but first, what is your business? Would you like to tell us that?
Hmm. Of course, yeah. I do two different things. I run a full stack web development company. So I've been running that agency for about 10 years. So we work do a lot of like custom dev projects. So whether it's a website or a web app or migrations or e-commerce or things like that, we do all the tech. I am not a tech person by any stretch of the imagination. I tried to set up Bluetooth on my car, and I was in tears, and my kids had to come help me. But the irony is I run this very technical team. And outside of that, I also do mentorship work with other female agency owners who haven't learned the things that I've learned, in the last 5 years. So yeah, it's that circle, right? Our pain becomes our mission. So yeah, yeah.
Oh, I know you're a 1-3 splenic projector. There's about 20% of the population's projector, but the splenic part, how you make decisions, that is more rare. I want to dive into that a little more. What were your first like initial reactions when you found out this is how your energy wants to flow? How did that initially like feel inside of you?
Well, my intro to human design was so different because I personally put zero credence like into astrology. I thought it was the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. Like I grew up Catholic, so astrology was just like devil stuff, and I thought it was so flaky and so dumb. And I'm like, but I was just in this desperate situation where she's like, I really think you're a projector. I want you to have your chart done. And she wasn't a human design person, but she sent me to this other person. And so came back, I was 1-3 splenic projector, and I was reading it. Like they sent me a copy of my chart and all that went with it. Like I didn't understand any of it. And even to this day, like the lines and stuff, like the center is like, I know what I am, but I don't know how to read it. I don't know how to interpret it. But I remember thinking like, I did this kind of test where I didn't tell my mom it was human design. And my mom is like as Catholic as they come. And she does not believe in astrology at all. And I sent it to her and I was like, what do you think of this? I just had some personality profiling done. And she was like, if I didn't know you, this would be the book if someone wanted to get to know you. And it was so interesting. It was so on point for me. And it was just this load off my mind. Like it was just like, I think everybody who gets introduced to human design, it just, what's the word that they use? It's like, it's permission. It just gives you permission to be like, I'm like this. Like, I've fought this my entire life. These things that have been driven so much insecurity in me are part of my design. And I've been trying to like get rid of them my entire life, thinking it's a flaw, but it's not. And so to me, a huge load just went off my mind. Like, for example, like as a projector, I can't work like a manifestor. I can't do those 18-hour days. I can't like, I'm not a generator. Like a 1-3, the 1-3 is like, we're gonna like read a lot. And I used to think I had like a huge inferiority complex because I always wanted to be learning things and like, just always wanted more and learning more, and I loved it, and I was fascinated by learning. And I'm like, people are like, what is your problem? Like, why can't you just stop? Like, enough is enough. And I'm like, what is my problem? And then the 3, I remember my mom telling me, she's like, you're the kind of person, like, since you were a little kid, that someone will tell you the train is coming, but until you walk in front of the train and get hit by the train, you're not going to believe the train is coming. And so, like, that's line 3 right there. Like, someone tells you that's not going to work, and you're like, okay, and you go do it, and that didn't work, and it's just, I always thought, what is my problem? Like, why am I constantly walking into the wall when everybody's telling me there's a wall right there, and I just have to walk into it myself? And in one of your podcasts, you said, like, the line 3, it can create humongous self-doubt because you're constantly failing. You're constantly fucking it up all the time. And you push yourself into these situations and you make these decisions and you're like, this seems smart, and you're trusting your splenic, self, and you're like, this feels like the right thing, and bam, you get hit by the bus. But they're like, wait a second, the line 1 is like, what happened? Let's research that. And the line 3 is like, let's do it again. And you're like, it can be exhausting.
Yeah.
It helped me make sense of it, right? It helped me see the circle of like, how do I operate? And that was like a super long answer to your question, but like, it helped me really, really make sense of things that were like my nemesis qualities of, I was fighting myself my entire life. Does that make sense?
That's exactly how I felt too, because there's so much condition we've had to be a certain way, to show up. I mean, this starts from childhood. You make failures, there's something wrong with you. And then if you make continuous failures, there's like, you start questioning yourself because people wonder what's wrong with you. You wonder what's wrong with yourself. I'm a line 6, so the first 30 years of my life, I was a line 3. So I very much relate to that line 3.
Messy.
And
it's a hard line to have. It's very
it
messy.
is. And I think what's so hard about it is those really crucial decisions. Like, okay, you graduate from high school. Now what do I do? Like, what do I want to do with my life? But so much about that is you have to just try something. So it's like really hard. And it's like, okay, now what do I want to do with my career? And you're just like,
No,
you just got to try. And then it's just like this endless thing.
I know, I look back on my life choices now, because I'm 44 now. And I look back on my life choices and I was like, I see the line 3 everywhere. And I was like, okay, this would not make sense to anybody else, but to me it made perfect sense. And then you add line 3 plus being splenic, of like having a very strong gut feeling about the direction. And sometimes, like, I remember, like, being a line 1, you're so in your head. Like, I love how you described it on your podcast. Like, you're all in your head. You're just, like, all thinking and rationalizing and logic. And I work in tech, so that makes it even more in my head, right? And then you, like, add in the line 3 of, like, chaos, basically, is how I like to describe line 3, is it kind of creates a lot of chaos. And then you're just kind of, like, constantly in this battle of, like, your head and your instincts and your splenic and your head and your head. And, like, and I look at these times, like, I had this story when, like, after high school, I was on scholarship. I'd received an academic scholarship. And I went to university, and it was all line 1, line 1, line 1, right? And in university, I hated it. I was like, this is not me. I don't want a job. I don't want to do any of this. I don't want this road. I don't want this where anywhere this is going. And I remember I decided I was going to give up my scholarship, like, in second year. I made it, like, through, like, my 1.5 years of, like, you know, my bachelor's program. And I remember the academic counselor sitting down with me. She's like, you're on a full ride scholarship. Like, don't do this. Like, don't walk away. Like, you got a full ride. Like, do it. And I was like, I hate this. Like, this sucks. Like, and I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I just couldn't live with myself. And the splenic just, like, took over, and I, like, gave up my scholarship, and I moved to Mexico. And it was like, you know, all these, like, for like 8 months I was a volunteer, and then it's just all these weirdo choices, and you're like, what was that? But the line 1 would have loved to study, but the line 3 is definitely like, we're not game for this. Like, we are not on board. And the splenic just makes it even heavier, right? Like, I don't know about you, but I feel like the splenic just like pushes the line three so far. Like it just like builds on the line three, right? Like you're thinking, you get the gut feeling, and then you're like, let's do it. I'm like, let's jump out of this airplane today.
Yeah,
So
exactly. All of us, I think, are so driven into us. We make decisions in our head, but that's
yeah.
not how we're supposed to make decisions. And so, yeah, you are supposed to be splenic. And so then
Mhm.
your logical mind is getting in there like, this doesn't make any sense. But your
Yeah.
entire body's like, no, you need to do this. And you're like,
Yeah.
like, what do I do
I
now?
know. Totally. That's the story of my life.
Yeah. And in the moment, you're just so confused. But then you listen to it and now you look back. I'm sure you could be like,
I know. It takes
it's
like
all
probably a
connecting.
decade for it to make sense, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. So that's fascinating. I didn't know splenic was less common as well. So it's projector plus splenic.
Yeah.
That's a really unique
Yeah.
combination.
Yes, it is. So most of the population is going to be emotional.
Mm,
And then it goes down to like sacral, and then splenic, I think, is the third or fourth one. So what's
interesting.
really rare is if you're a reflector. But yeah, splenic is not as common because based on how the centers are all connected is how it's
Mm,
decided and what's
very cool.
defined. And yeah, so it's very, you're very unique. But then that also means like
Interesting.
you as a projector, like you are really here to guide. And I feel like definitely what you're doing in your business and being a mentor to other people is like
Yeah,
exactly where you're supposed to be because you're supposed to guide people, and then that gives you a unique perspective with your spleen. And so
totally.
like embrace it.
Totally. I remember I was
Yeah.
like, I'd met with this person and we were just like as a colleague, we were just chatting and I didn't really know her. And I remember like looking at her and being able to just read it like a book right in front of me. And I remember she was
Yeah.
like so spaced out by that. She was so weirded out and she was like, "What are you doing?" And I could just read her this scenario. And it's just it's so funny. It's like, yeah, the splenic just like the splenic plus projector, like you just know things. You're like
Yes.
you're not psychic. I don't know what I believe about being psychic. Like I believe it is possible. I don't think that I'm psychic or anything, but it's like I remember somebody told me she's like you just see things that other people don't see. And I'm like, how do you not see this? Like it's right there. Like how do you not, you know? And they're like, I don't get it. And you're like, oh, like, but
Yeah.
it's true. Like it helps you see things. And like I do a lot of content creation on LinkedIn, and I used to be so anxious because I would see things so differently. I'm like, my perspective, I felt so afraid to share my perspective because like your post about your publication about perfectionism, like that was totally me. Like I'm like, and I would see it so differently, and I was so scared to like be like the outlier or whatever, and like post this oddball stuff like that wasn't sort of, you know, and it started doing really well, and I was like, huh, like wait a second, like
Yeah.
maybe it's okay that I see it differently, and maybe it's okay that
Yeah.
I'm not like falling in line with all these other like the traditional way of doing something, right? So yeah,
Yeah. Because I am so about just listening to what your body's saying because you do have the answers. So many of us fall down this path of, okay, this person's successful. I got to just copy what they're doing. But you just keep putting pushed up against the wall and
yeah,
you're miserable. And it's like, just stop.
100%.
But it's so hard to stop. But then once you actually do, and I talk a lot about just slowing down, stop just pushing as hard as you can because once you slow down, especially as a splenic projector, you need those times to rest,
Oh
to
yeah,
regroup and re-energize yourself so then you can move forward with intention. But I think for everyone, the more that we slow down and really ask ourselves like, is this something I want to be doing, or is it
I
just
know.
something I'm doing for fun or because I think I have to be doing?
Exactly. Exactly. I
Yeah.
think that was one of my biggest takeaways from when as I started learning about human design was like to trust myself. Was like
Yeah.
it's okay. Like I think a lot of the second guessing fell away. I think that to me was one thing that was just being a line one without knowing it, like you're so in your head and enough is never enough. And I was constantly second guessing. And then when I realized, I'm like, wait a second, like, how do I turn these into strengths? Or how do I like lean in? How do I align, right? How do I align to my design, quote unquote? And then it's just sort of like all the second guessing started going away. Like I just learned how to really trust myself and be like, look, if I feel like this makes sense and it could potentially create disaster, but I feel like this is the right move, now I do it. Like, you know what I mean? And sometimes it does create disaster, but like that integrity to live by your authority, it's like when you don't, it feels so bad. right? It's like I always have to kind of juggle. The debate in my head is always like, okay, if this feels like the splenic authority is like, okay, this is the right move, this is what to do. Like I had breast cancer last year, and one of the things was like I had this lump, and the doctor was like, oh, it's nothing, and the mammogram was negative, and all these things, and I was like, And I remember the splenic was like, no, 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 no. Like, we are doing this, we are doing this, we are doing this, we are doing this. And like, and it turned out, yeah, I had aggressive breast cancer. But it was like the unconventional, it's interesting. It's an interesting, I always tell people, like, it's very interesting to be me. You know? You're like, being inside of this situation is very interesting situation, but
I like that way of putting it. It's very interesting to me. All of us are so different, and just embrace your uniqueness, because I think that's what makes life more fun, right? If you were being like everyone else, how boring would that be? That would be, I don't know. I kind of like the drama of the ups and downs of my life, and just kind of like seeing where it takes me, and it makes it fun.
Yeah.
So I guess more specifically, what's the biggest change you've seen in your business from understanding your design?
From being like a 1-3? I would say one of the things that I really owned once I learned I was a projector is that projectors are never going to be the type of entrepreneur that can do the long, long days. And I always struggled with that. Like, I'm like kind of around 2:00, 2:30, I start like my body starts shutting down. It's like, no, like, and so I just have kind of been learned to be okay that I'm like a 30-hour a week person. Like I can't, like in the afternoon, I want to go work out. I want to go to Pilates. I want to walk the dog. I want to make dinner. I want to kind of like wind down. I want to like help my daughter with her homework. I want to like, I don't want to be on my phone. I don't want to be working. Like I have that alpha ambition, which is hard, like when you're a projector, because you have to stop or you're gonna like lose it. And so I think that to me was the biggest thing that I took away from as an entrepreneur, was like the acceptance that I was never gonna be the type of entrepreneur that could work all the time and then be able to stay energized like that. And I had to pace myself, and that might mean that my results are a lot slower, but that's just not how my body works. So, excuse me. So to me, that was a really big one. Learning that I was a line 1, definitely learning how to like, okay, enough is enough. Like you just have to move. Like you have to just make a call, like plan, do, review. Like I really leaned into like, okay, enough is enough, being way more decisive and just like, let's move this out. And also like trusting really, like hiring really intelligent people who can like do all the thinking for me. Because I would say I live most of my life in line 3. Like now, because I have a lot of like 40 decades. I have like 4 decades of line 1 information in my head, and I just kind of drew a line where I'm like, I have enough information. Like it's time to like say something, you know? And I still love to read, I still love to learn, but now it's not like compulsion. It's like I have enough in my head. Like there is enough. Like trust me, there is enough. And so yeah, I think I was just, and also understanding like the line 3 is going to break things sometimes, and there was going to be fallout and consequences and blowback, but it makes a mess sometimes when you take a chance and it goes wrong, or someone's mad, or a client's mad, or a team's mad, or something's mad, someone's mad, and it didn't work how you thought, and you gambled like intelligently, you know what I mean? You took a calculated risk, right? The line 1 makes it a calculated risk, and it goes sideways. To understand that's my growth play, like to kind of fall forward, like like my mom said, you have to literally walk in front of the train to be like, oh, there's a train. Like she's like, why do you do that? I'm like, I don't know. Just how it is.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think it is fascinating hearing how everything you've said, it's not a flaw in you, but the more awareness you have with them, you could just make a different choice. Like, okay, I know enough, let's just move. Or like, I'm not exactly sure how this is going to come, but let's just try it and see what happens.
Totally. Yeah. No, definitely. Yeah, it's hard. It's the line 1 is a hard one, I find, because it's like, you're constantly like the second guessing is ridiculous. Like
Mm-hmm.
just like you said in your podcast, like never enough. I don't know enough. I don't know
Yeah.
enough. I don't know. And I'm like, I've been running a business for fucking 30 years. Like I know enough. Like I know
Yeah.
enough. Like I pay myself a six-figure income. I work
Mm-hmm.
part-time. I have 14 employees. Like I'm good. I've got enough. That's
Yeah.
enough. Like okay.
Yeah.
Like but it's just like it never feels like enough. You're always like, well, I
Mm-hmm.
don't have a this. I don't have a PhD.
Yeah.
I don't have an MBA. I don't have, and you're like, okay, but you're like, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And then your line three is like going crazy because it's like
Yeah.
let me
Yeah.
out. And then
Yeah.
so it's a very it's a combo that you're like working on
Mm-hmm.
the perfectionism for sure. Of like the line
Mm-hmm.
three wants to just go for it, but the line one is like, nope.
Yeah. I'm curious, are your head and ajna open or defined? Do you know
That's a
offhand?
great question. I have my chart in a drawer.
Yeah.
I don't, that's a great question. I don't know.
I would look at that. So the top
Do you want me
two
to grab it?
shapes. Yeah, if you want.
Okay, I'll show it to you.
Oh yeah, see they're open.
Okay,
So,
what does that mean?
because you have those two open, have you dug into those at all?
Not really.
Okay.
No.
Okay. So that is very much how your energy flows and what you take in. So when you have a defined center and it's colored in, that means you have that consistent energy. But when it's open, it means you're taking in everyone else's energy and then amplifying it back out.
So true.
Yeah. I have both my head and ajna are open, and that is all about thoughts, ideas, overthinking. You question everything. So with your line
Interesting.
one,
Fantastic. That makes sense though.
yeah. On the plus side, just having that awareness, so stopping yourself from the overthinking or spiraling, but then also those are often the things that you're helping your clients with because you have so much experience with it.
Well, that's it, right? Like that's the trick of like the one thing is like that I feel like helps me a lot as the mentor is that okay, I've done all the reading, I've done all the training, and I've also done it myself. And
Yeah.
yeah, because I literally have done it. Like I've literally been in that situation with ABC, right? And this is what I learned. And so it's a really
Yeah.
powerful combo for sure in that situation.
But that's 100% what a line 3 is here to do, is to trial and error for the rest of us. And
You're
then
welcome. You're welcome.
teach us what not to do and the better path
Oh,
forward. And then you pair it with that projector in you that's here to just guide and be that leader for others. It's like a perfect combo because you're trial and error. You're directly applying that to those around you, which I think is
totally.
fascinating.
Yeah, it's fun for you guys.
I did it
You're
for 30
welcome.
years. I
Yeah,
understand.
okay. You're allowed to like, you're in the club.
Yeah.
So,
So much of human design is, like you said at the beginning, it's giving yourself that permission. There is nothing wrong with you when you're not looking like everyone else. It's just, this is who I am, and let's embrace it. And how could I use it? Because, okay, you've got a 1-3 profile, you got an open head and ajna, we just found out. That's just who I am. And like, how could I
yeah,
use that to help other people move a little faster and just stop the spiraling and stop having
totally.
these habits you're having and understanding where the habits are coming from? So it's like,
100%.
it's so powerful.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Yeah.
It's so cool. It's a game changer for sure. Because
Yeah.
I've done all the like previous to what I do now, I was a recruiter. And so I know like I've used all the personality profiling, like all of them. And nothing really kind of made sense to me. And until I ran through like the human, like started learning about human design and I was like, now I'm like, okay. And also too, now I can kind of check myself. So if I start feeling like really stressed or really like, I can kind of reflect back and be like, okay, like where am I working too much? Where am I trying to work like a manifestor? Or where am I trying to like, I can kind of check myself and be like, okay, like they say projectors, they need to have fun. Like they need to put fun on the agenda. It's like, okay, like when was the last time I actually did something that was fun? That's like outside of the routine of just working and dinner and dogs and kids and like, it's like, okay, how do I have fun? How do I, so yeah, it helps a lot.
Yeah, I was the same way. I've taken all the personality tests. Being a line 3, wondering what was wrong with me. Like,
I know,
why couldn't
right?
I've taken them all, and it was like, oh, that's interesting. And I always think specifically of Strength Finder, and I'm like, I'm a learner. I'm like, okay, I'm focus. Like, what does that mean?
What does that mean?
And so,
I know, right?
yeah. And even with astrology, I'm a Leo, and that doesn't even feel like me. Like,
No, I know, me too. I'm a Pisces, and I'm like, I don't know what that means. Like,
yeah,
it does not
exactly.
resonate at all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And so then, like you said, like I found human design. I'm like, oh, this like actually feels like me. And they're
yeah,
like, oh, I'm supposed to go respond? That's something I could go do. There's something
yeah,
tangible I could go try. I think that's why I appreciated it so much. And yeah, there's a lot to understand about it. But if you just take it bit by bit and it's like, ooh, this feels good. And you keep moving
definitely.
with what really related to me. It was super life changing when I found it.
Too. And I think
Yeah.
one thing, like, if there's projectors listening to this, like, I know one thing that projectors generally really worry about is that whole, like, wait for the invitation piece, right? And and when you're an entrepreneur and you're trained in a system that's like the go, 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 it's and I know there's so many different interpretations of wait for an invitation and it's very like energetically driven, right? But it's that really helped me as well. Was to like, I'm not gonna sell and I'm not gonna build and I'm not gonna do my marketing like that. Like I'm gonna do it my way and I'm gonna do it by, let's say, creating content and networking, and if people are interested they can like, I can throw it out there like, hey, this is what I do. And just let it go. Right? Like just let it go and not be in that like pushing agenda all the time. And it was just a huge relief to me to be like, no, I need to show up, I need to add humongous value as a guide. And then people, when they need me, will reach out to me. And I just have to trust that the right people will find me when they need me. And I have to be visible. Like, my job is to be visible and findable. But there is no pushing requirement. And that was a big one for me, too. Because I came from 10 years of cold calling. Like, or not 10 years, like 6 years of cold calling. Like, so I could do it. But I'm like, that feels bad. And once I actually learned how to, like, connect to the splenic portion, I'm like, okay, that feels bad. I'm not going to do that anymore. Like, just because it felt bad. That was all I needed to know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I think you just nailed the whole thing about this podcast. What I love is like, I want you to get permission. If it does not feel good, drop it.
Yeah.
It's like, I know it's the hardest thing to do because you could think of a million reasons why you shouldn't drop it. But if it does not feel good to you, you're never going to be happy doing it. It's never suddenly going to work. Just drop it.
Just drop it. 100%.
Yeah. So I think, I really hope someone is a projector hearing this and they really got a lot from learning from you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there anything else you would like to say before we end?
I think it's really has been very helpful to me to invest time in learning about my design. Like I've for example, there's like communities online for projectors, and there's all these resources, and there's books, and there's marketing training for projectors and stuff. And to me, like, I really have, that has been so beneficial to me, just to kind of give me permission to be like, okay, we don't have to play it like everybody else. And so I feel like the actual investment of resource, this is the line one, of like, but like maybe to not to my extreme, but like taking the time to really learn it more than just having someone run your chart. What does that mean? Like, what does this mean to you? Like, what is that, like, how does it ripple into your life? Not just to like learn it and hear it and have someone do your chart and, oh, that's interesting, but like to own it, or to like consider what the integration could mean. And because I think it's so cool to be like, oh yeah, hey, I got this many points, but then you're like, wait a second, like, what does this mean to like my mental health and my, things like that. So that's what I would just end with, would be like, don't just hear it, lean into it, like lean in and learn about it.
Yeah, because that's when the change happens. It's the intentional. You could just hear something and think it's inspiring, but until you actually move through it and contemplate it, how you could apply it to your life, that's when it actually sticks. So.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure.
Well, thank you for coming. How could people connect with you?
Just find me on LinkedIn. Yeah, just head over to LinkedIn. All my stuff is there,
Okay.
and that is my spot.
Okay, well, I'll leave the link for everyone below to connect with you, and I want to thank you so much for being here. I love these conversations, and I love hearing how much human design has changed people's lives, because it really can. It so can.
It absolutely can. Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you for having me. My pleasure.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I absolutely love finding people that love human design as much as I do. And I am so thankful for Natasha coming on the podcast and sharing her experience about learning her human design and how much it has changed her life and business. So if something has lit up inside you from this conversation, leave a comment. Let us know what came up for you. I love hearing what you take away from these episodes. And I want to do a lot more of these guest episodes plus coaching episodes. So if you want to be a guest on my podcast, or if you want to be coached live by me for free, I will leave the application below to apply. Thank you again for tuning in. And as always, please like, subscribe, leave a review. It would mean the world to me. Until next time, keep rebelling, keep rising.